Hi guys, it's Nancy, and today we're doing something a little different. I just started playing around with a new hobby, and it's called acrylic paint pouring. And here are some of the paintings that I've done, and it's just using a lot of basic stuff that you probably already have. And what I like about this one's kind of a beach scene. And what's neat is about all of these cells that form. If I can get the camera to focus, there we go, in the paint. Now these are drying. I'm sorry about the lighting and the camera setup. We're in my garage, but I wanted to show you guys how you can do this. A couple things you need. Canvases. I just picked up a 10-pack of these canvases. They're 8 by 10. They were at AC Moore, and I believe they were $20, and I used my 50% off coupon. So that's there, and you can see that's just sitting in a lasagna pan. You can get these for inexpensive in the grocery store, and some disposable plastic cups. And then you're also going to want some stirrers. You can use anything, that you would use to stir paint. I did pick up a pack of these little wooden stirrers that, your kids play with. You can use that. And then any kind of acrylic paints that you have at home. So this is a new brand, the Color Shift paint by Folk Art. I have the Nicole's brand, my Studio brand. And some of this paint, I've had for quite a while. As long as it's not chunky, you can use this. I've heard that the Martha Stewart paints do not work well with this method. These Blick paints I just got, so I'm just trying these out, but they seem to be okay. Now what you need to do is you need to thin that paint down, because the paint is very thick. So if you try to pour it in a cup and pour it onto your canvas, it's not going to pour out very easily. So we want to thin it down to the consistency of melted ice cream. So see how it pours off of the stick there? It's not dripping, it's not too runny, it's just like melted ice cream. So how we do that is we add a little bit of paint at the bottom of our cup, and then we're going to put an equal amount of what's called a flow medium. Now you can buy flow medium from name brand art stores, or you can make your own. There's two ways you can make your own, and you guys can look up videos on that. The one way is to add Mod Podge or glue to water, and you just put it in a bottle, and then you make your own. The other way, where it's already pre-mixed, is what's called Floetrol. Now, Floetrol is in your Lowe's or Home Depot in the professional paint section. This is a 1-quart bottle, which I got for, I think, $7.88. So just under $10 for this. And what I've done is I've taken 2/3 of this and mixed it with water into a bottle. Now what this does is it thins out the paint, but it doesn't thin out the paint so that it loses its adhesive qualities, because you still want it to bind to the canvas. If you just add water, you're watering down your paint, but it's going to lose its binding agent. So that binding agent is either the Floetrol or the glue with the paint. And I normally do 1 part paint and 1 part of my Floetrol mix here. The other thing you want to add to your paint, once you've got it to that melted ice cream consistency, and see how it's real stringy there when it comes off, is you're going to add a little squirt of 91% isopropyl alcohol. It's basically rubbing alcohol, but you want it to say 91%. Now, I picked this up at Target. It was $4 maybe. They have 70 and 91%. You want the highest percentage, which is 91%. This is going to help you make your cells. So I've poured the alcohol into a little squirt bottle. I've poured my Floetrol and water mix into a bottle. The other thing I have in a bottle is just some regular plain tap water. So this way, if I start to mix my paint and it's loose, it's getting loose, but not as loose as I want, but I think I'm adding too much Floetrol, which is making it too thick, you just squirt a little bit of water in there. Now, the alcohol is going to help make cells, but the other thing that's going to help make cells is silicone. And you have WD-40 silicone, or you can use this 3-in-1 silicone, which is 100%. I don't know if it's 100%, but it's what I found on YouTube. Now, I've been watching YouTube videos for weeks with these artists doing this, and by no means am I a professional. I'm just playing around here in my garage, and I wanted to show you guys how I do it. There's 2 ways you can do it that I've seen so far. The first way is what they call a dirty pour. And what you do with a dirty pour is you take a larger cup, like this. You take all of your colors and mix them in, and then you take your canvas to the cup, flip it over, let it sit a few minutes, and then pull the cup off, and then the paint kind of goes everywhere. I'm pretty sure that's how I did this one. It's very random when you do that. The paint just kind of goes where it wants to go. The method I'm going to show you guys today is the swipe method, which I think is a little more controlled. I've picked out some colors today. I wanted to do kind of a rust look today, so I've picked out a dark brown, almost like a chocolatey brown. This is going to be my swipe color, so we're going to save that for last. I've got this color shift orange, so we're just going to take some of that and pour it down in random places. Now you can do this randomly. You can do it you know, organized if you want a certain look. There are many artists on YouTube, and you can just look up, you know, acrylic paint pour artists. I believe David Clark is one of the ones I've been watching. melyD is another one. But you can just go on YouTube and look up acrylic paint pour artists, and they all have different methods and different mixtures on how they do their paints. Now, I just forgot to put the silicone in the orange, so that's not going to cause cells, I don't think. So I'm just putting a little squirt of the silicone in here before I forget. Now, I did put alcohol in there, so that might be okay. And again, I'm not a professional. I don't know what the difference is between using alcohol, silicone alone. I'm sure you could do some experiments there. I do know if you mix it a lot, you will get a lot of small cells. If you mix it a little, you'll get larger cells. And now I've got this light, almost a mint green, which I think is going to give us like a little patina look. I don't want to add too much of this. And I kind of want to keep it towards the top, most of it, and just little random spots here. All right. And now I have this copper color. I'm just going to kind of fill that in. And I can see already that it's starting to form cells as it mixes with the paint. Now, I may not have enough paint here, which means I'll have to go back and add more, but we'll see. All right, so this is going to be my base. This is what I want to pop up from the background. The background color that I've chosen is this chocolatey brown. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to pour that all along the tops here and along the sides here. Now, there are artists that pre-paint their canvases so that you don't see the edges. For demonstration purposes today, guys, I don't really care about the edges. I'll show you how I do that later. This is just a piece of acrylic. You stampers will know that this comes off of the Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous. It's very thick, heavy-duty plastic, and it's easy to clean up. You want to have your paper towel nearby. And you can see some of that paint is dripping off. All I'm going to do is, for this swipe method, is just gently lay that down into the brown paint. So it's just touching, and I'm going to pull it down. Now, as I do that, you will see that the colors underneath will start to show through. Now, what I'm going to do with this excess paint that's left on the acrylic is I'm going to take that and rub it across the sides of my canvas. So my canvas will get covered. Now, I didn't get this side, so I'm going to wipe this off. And this is just a wet paper towel. And I'm going to do the swipe again on this side. And you can see those cells are starting to form on there. So there's some of that green, which I wanted a patinaed look. There's some of that copper coming through, some of the orange. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's designed to be random and messy and, you know, fun. And if you see there are spots where the paint is not covered all the way, I have a little bit left in the cup here. I'm just taking that and filling it in. And I am not a messy crafter, guys. Like I was just saying to Kim when she was making the roses, that video, you know, I don't do mixed media. I don't do that kind of stuff, but I find that this is very freeing. Now, when I have a design that I think I like, I'm going to take my popsicle stick and just kind of run it under the bottom of the canvas here and pull off the extra drips because I don't want any more of that paint pulling off my canvas. Now, if you want it to continue to drip, you would just leave it alone. But that and you want to make sure you're obviously on a level surface. Now here the white is coming through, so there's a couple things we can do. We can put some more brown on there, but I want to see a little more of this green come through. So we can always go through where I don't think that there are enough spots and put a little more of the paint. And then you can just go through and swipe with your stick. Or if you want to go back through with the acrylic, you can do that. It gives it a different look. The stick gives it more of a swiped look, where the acrylic gives it the look of the cells more. And I wish you guys could see how bright these colors are. I know the lighting is terrible, but the orange and the copper are really popping through that brown, and then you have the little spots of the green, which are neat. Now, as you see divots coming through the canvas, that means that there wasn't enough paint used. So that's what I'm trying to do now, is just kind of move that paint ever so gently, cover those divots. I might have to put more paint on those later. Now, if you don't think there are enough cells, now I think this is pretty neat, but if there's not enough cells, the last thing you're going to do is torch it. This is a butane torch. I got it at Home Depot for a couple bucks. I want to say $20. And what this is going to do is burn off some of that alcohol and silicone, and you will see now the cells are starting to come through. I'm just barely going over the top of it. Now I can see there's a white spot. What happens when you use a makeshift bench? There's a white spot right there where the paint really didn't get to. I'm going to put a little bit of the orange in there. And over here I don't have any cells at all. So I'm going to pour some more of that orange and green in there. Now this does take a few days to dry because you're putting a thick coat of paint on here, plus the silicone in the paint. So that's going to take a little bit to dry. Once it's dried, I just have this inexpensive Duraclear High Gloss, which I put about 2 coats on. Now you have to wait for it to dry. I have one painting already where the acrylic paint was not completely dry. I tried to put the Duracloth on there, and then what happened was the paint underneath started to dry. Well, the Duracloth started to dry, and then the paint underneath started to pull away. So just make sure it is completely dry. Take, maybe 3 days to let it dry. But I just look around all the edges and make sure all the paint is there before I walk away from this piece. Come back. If there's any, again, divots or hollow spots where you think there should be a little more color, you're just going to go back in with your paint and just kind of fill that in. And then I just kind of pull it in the direction that it was already going in. So there it is, guys. The basics for a beginner to acrylic paint pouring. I hope you like this video. Maybe I'll do another video on the dirty pour method, which is the tip cup method, and see if you guys like that. I'm going to pick you guys up and show you what this looks like. Like I said, I apologize for the lighting. It's not great. But there you can see the chocolate brown, and then there's a lot of that copper color there, and then some of that color burst and the orange color shift, and then the little bit of mint to give it a patina look. So I hope you like this video, guys. Please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.